Lucas Still with Optim Athletes, here with Sam Long. Sam is a left-handed pitcher in the Chicago White Sox organization. Originally drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays in 2017?
16.
Played with the Rays for 2 to 3 years?
3 seasons.
3 seasons with the Rays, and then got picked up by the White Sox in
technically 19. I went to spring training with them in 19 last year.
19, and then had a good year this past year. Finished in high A?
Low A. I was in
low
low A all year.
Okay, starter.
Yeah.
Sweet. With the Rays, you topped out at 93, I believe.
Yeah, somewhere
and
around
then
there.
this past season, you popped to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So just what do you think changed from 93, 97, or what helped you kind of make that velo jump?
I think the approach to my training really made a difference in not only physically I felt a lot better, but it helped me on the mound mentally, knowing that I put in the work and did a lot more than most guys do to put themselves in the best position to succeed. And kind of pitching with that mindset it helped me grow as a pitcher, and it helped me grow with how I carried myself on and off the field. Like when you don't have to worry about, I'd say the work ethic that's all. There's no secret to it. If you put in the work, it makes everything a lot easier. That's for sure.
Right. So you've always been a good pitcher. Like, obviously, your freshman year, Sac State, All-American. And I don't know, were you 88 to 91? We'll say.
My freshman year, I was only like 17. I was supposed to be in high school still, and I was definitely one of the smaller ones in high school. And so when I was in college, I was a string bean. I was probably 140 pounds.
Jeez.
But I knew where I was putting the ball every time. Even at 85, 86, most starts, that's probably where I was realistically my freshman year. I knew where the ball was going. I could throw my fastball, curveball, and changeup for strikes and put them anywhere I wanted. And so I think that's what helped me my freshman year, and just the confidence that coming in as a 17-year-old, Reggie Christensen gave me the start at Fresno State, I believe, my second week there pretty much, because I missed that whole fall because I was still in high school. And so I was only at Sac State for 2 weeks and before our season started. So
it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, he gave me the start, and I was like, oh man, I better lock it in. I better be ready for this. And I knew I was ready. I wasn't really worried about that at all. I just needed to go out and prove that. So he gave me that first start, and I ended up going like 5 innings and gave up a couple runs. Gave up a home run to Jordan Luplow, actually. He's in the big leagues with the Indians. But besides that, it was a solid start, and I got a win. And
there you
go. After that, I was like, man, I can hang with these guys. So from there on out, the rest of the year, just kind of kept building and building. I think I did end up getting to 90. I hit a 90, probably my 6th or 7th start my freshman year. And then we made a regional that year, and I started that first regional game against Cal Poly. So that was awesome. Honestly, that whole year felt like it was happening so fast, but at the same time, I was enjoying every second of it. And I think about that year all the time, and it was so much fun. It was cool.
Yeah, that was a heck of a year. You
heck
guys
of a year.
WAC champions, played Cal Poly. I think didn't you guys beat ASU in that regional?
We beat ASU in that regional, yep. We knocked them out. That team, our whole staff pretty much ended up playing pro ball eventually. We had Reese Hoskins on that team, Nate Luquez, who's been in AAA, hopefully get a chance in the big leagues this year, and Scotty Bertram, he's still doing his thing with the Rockies. Who else? I mean, there's so many guys on that team.
I mean, some guys that aren't even playing anymore. I remember like Lateo.
Yeah, Brendan Lateo, Justin Dillon still
Sutter
playing
McLaughlin.
with the Blue Jays. Sutter McLaughlin.
Paul Shaw.
With the Mets.
Half the team was drafted.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
But
It was a lot of fun. We were a really good team and a lot of awesome people to be around.
So obviously, again, on a team with that kind of talent, you were one of the 3 starters as a 17-year-old. Even though you didn't quite have the velo, like obviously you had the great pitchability. All freshman All-American, you get drafted. So now that you're actually throwing, I don't know what most starts last year. Would you sit 92, 94 maybe?
Most starts, yeah, around there.
And up to 97, like that takes your stuff to the next level even. So that's, I mean, obviously you put in the work, but is there anything, one tip or one piece of advice you give someone that's trying to make that velo jump?
I would say just take it a day at a time. I understand what you want in the end result, you know. Understand where you're at right now. So, I mean, as a lot of people know, I was released by the Rays. And I took 6 months off and reevaluated what I really wanted to get out of the game. And when I made the decision to start training again, I had that all laid out. I knew exactly where I was, and I knew exactly where I wanted to be. And for anybody that is making an effort to play in professional baseball or make the big leagues, the goal is to make the big leagues for me.
Oh, yeah.
That's the goal.
Might see you there this year.
I hope so.
You got the stuff.
We'll see how it goes, but I mean, that's the goal. That should be your goal, is to pitch in the big leagues, 100%. You shouldn't. If your goal is to just play in professional baseball, that's not enough. You know, you want to go to the top. You want to play with the best players in the world.
Definitely.
And so when I got back into it, I knew that's what I wanted, and I was willing to do whatever it took to make that jump. So I had a lot to work to do. I was out of the game for 6 months. So it was a long road back to getting even just back to, you know, where I was before with the Rays, and that even that wasn't good enough.
Right.
So I knew I needed to keep just progressing, and you can't look too far ahead. I didn't try to look too far ahead. I tried to focus on what I needed to do that day, and answer the question at the end of the day: was it enough? Was it enough to improve? And so I think those days just started stacking up, and I started to improve, and I started to get a lot stronger, and I started to get a lot more confident. And by the time spring training came, I was ready to go out and earn a job. And that's the approach I take to every day, and until I do one day make the big leagues. That's the overall goal. You know,
Definitely.
That's where I want to end up. So.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw you obviously put in the work. You were saying, how much did you weigh again in college?
104. I don't remember exact. 140 pounds.
How much you weighing now?
Around there. I'm 190.
190
and 195
and
right
you've been
now.
getting after in the weight room, so it definitely shows.
Yeah.
All right, just really quickly, what pitches do you throw?
I throw a 4-seam fastball.
Okay.
I like to hold the ball with the horseshoe going up, so it lines up with my middle finger, the taller finger, obviously. I feel like being on that part of the ball instead of the other side of the horseshoe, I'm able to stay behind it that much longer to
get through it.
Yeah, to get through it, and my fingers stay on the laces that much longer to kind of help. My ball has good ride, so it helps a little bit I want to be on the ball, on the lace as long as I can. And then my next pitch, I like all my pitches. I don't really favor any of them. It depends on the count, depends on the batter, the situation.
Well, your curveball's absolutely gross, so.
Yeah, it's fun throwing curveballs. I'm not going to lie. It's a fun pitch for me to throw. I like to hold it this way. It's pretty simple. Middle finger up along the horseshoe. Just put the rest of my fingers where they're comfortable. I like my thumb on this seam. So I just kind of feel like I can get a good grip right there with it. And then I like my ring finger to kind of rub up against this seam too, just for comfort. It's not really anything to do with throwing. It just feels good in my hand. And then change up. I've switched my changeup grip around a lot over the years. I've gone from a 4-seam circle change here to a 2-seam circle change to now what I throw is, it's a circle change pretty much, but I'm off the ball with my middle finger there. See how it's kind of hanging off still? And what I think with this is I try to throw your fastball, you're pulling down with these 2 fingers, ripping down on those seams there. I think the same thing. I'm not on any seam with my changeup here, and I just think throw fastball with my ring finger. And so everything, like my touch, my command comes from the pressure I have on that ring finger there on the middle of the seam. So when I throw it, I stay behind, and then right before release, I try to throw the inside of the ball. And so when it comes off the fingertips, there's not a lot of hand on the ball, I guess, so that's what slows it down so much. Yeah. I think I've thrown, if I'm mid-90s in my starts, my changeup's usually 80 to 82. So
it's a good differential.
13 to 14 miles per hour is a big difference. And so it goes off my fastball pretty well. So I think that's what really fools a hitter is it comes out of my hand looking so much like the fastball, but it's that much slower. So
probably your intent too, right?
Yeah, I tell guys all the time, it's not how your changeup moves all the time. That's not what it's all about. It's about how you sell your changeup. So if I'm grunting, if I'm throwing my fastball and I'm grunting, you got to sell the changeup. And so I'll throw it and grunt sometimes. It's probably kind of silly to think about that, like, oh, nice, a grunted changeup. But you got to sell it, You got to make the batter think that a fastball is coming when you throw your changeup. That's the whole point. You're changing up the speed, and you're trying to fool them. And then my slider, that's been a fun one to learn. I've mixed around a bunch of different grips with that one too. Originally, my pitching coach in A-ball this year, Jose Bautista, his name, not the hitter. He pitched in the big leagues for about 9 or 10 years, and he said that he threw his slider, he's like his fastball, same grip. So I'm like, you did that? He's like, yeah, it's not about how you hold it, it's about how you throw it, man. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense. So I tried to just find the release point with it and see where I needed to get my hand to. Learning the slider was pretty tough for me because I've been so used to pulling directly behind the ball with my fastball, and I've been so used to pulling directly in front of the ball with my curveball. And the slider was sort of like a middle ground to find with that, to try to create less of this and more of that, but still have that good carry to make it hard.
Right.
So I tried with just the fastball grip, and I was able to get that one was good because it was hard and it can move that way, but it didn't have as much movement as I wanted to. It stayed kind of straight sometimes. So I moved it to this side of the ball and tried to get more on top, and so I got a lot of depth that way, but it wasn't as hard as I wanted it to. So I finally found this grip where it's kind of, I would have never guessed, but my friend Kevin Gowdy, who we was training at OA all off season, he showed me this one day. He said his teammate with the Phillies threw it this way, and it was sort of a slider cutter. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll mess around. We were playing catch one day. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try to throw a few and see how it feels. And first one, boom, like tight slider, hard too, like late break. It was.
Exactly.
I was like, that's exactly what I want right there.
Yeah.
That was perfect, and I didn't even think about anything. I was like, what the heck? I wish I would have tried. I would have never thought to try this grip.
Yeah.
So I've been throwing it that way for a while now, and I think that's been the most comfortable one. And so I think I'm going to stick with this one this year.
So you got a new toy going into spring training now.
Yeah, it's good. It's good enough to get outs with, I think. So I'm going to keep it rolling.
Perfect.
We'll see.
Well, thanks, man. And good luck this year.
All right, man.
Oh, let me just get a quick picture of all your groups.